Hello there. So today I wanted to just do a quick review of this red day blade that you can actually get from Vire sabers. And there's actually quite a few other distributors that sell this exact same day blade. I got it from Vire sabers just because they ship stuff super quick. I got this in 4 days. And that was, I've come to get used to that with Vire sabers. They're always really great at getting stuff out pretty quick. And I've always had my eye on this day blade. I really like that shine to it. I really like the rich color rather than it actually being just your plain white blade. But I did want to go over a little bit of a review on, you actually do have, there's some film in there. There's not a lot, but you also can kind of see that that mirrored tip, which helps to bounce the light back. And for actually being out in the day, in the daylight, this blade is great. If you're getting that just to kind of show your color without having to have your lightsaber on, and especially if you're out in the con, out in the daylight, you're not really going to see the color of your blade very well anyway. So this is great for that. But I also like to have it for actual night shoots and that sort of thing. And you'll notice that the color flares out pretty good here, but then it diminishes greatly. And then the tip, because of how transparent it is, you can see everything in there. You can see the tip, you can see that little peg that goes across to hold the tip in, and all that. And there's actually some really quick ways that you can fix that. I'm going to go over that today. The other thing I wanted to make note of is that red day blade is really only going to show red. So the reason I have it in this saber is because it's got red, green, blue, just quick stunt saber. But if you put blue through that, it looks pretty cool on camera, and in person it does have quite a striking effect, but again, it blocks out so much of the light you can barely even see that light there. And green's no better. Green kind of comes off in a kind of almost greenish gold, and it kind of has a nice two-toned effect. But that's because a lot of the light, because the diffusion film in this is not very thick. In fact, even with red, you can kind of see through this. So you can kind of see, especially more towards the top, you'll be able to see my hand through the blade. And there's ways that you can kind of fix that. So the first thing that I want to do is I always like to take, whenever I'm making blades from like the custom saber shop, like my photon blades, I always take some cellophane wrap. And this is about 4 feet, cut exactly to the length of the blade, which is 36 inches. And I just rolled it, and you just simply put it in there. And what you'll notice that it does, first off, is it creates more of a reflection. So you can see where the difference between right here and right here. And then if I push that all the way through, it actually improves the color just off the bat. So we actually have more of a reflection. It's a little bit brighter, and it will reflect and diffuse the light much better. So as you see, it's a lot better down here, all the way up to the top, and it actually is more solid. But we're not quite there yet. So it cuts down on that see-throughness. You can't actually really see my hands through this because now it's reflecting the light all the way up through the blade. But there's one other trick that we're going to do. We're actually going to sand the blade. So I've got just a 150-ish grit on this. Particularly I want to sand this top part so that there's a little bit more diffusion on the outside, and it should kind of reflect the light so that a lot of this will be a bit smoother. And we'll take a look at that. But I'm going to go ahead and start that. So what I always recommend is to just go up and down the blade, so like so. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick off camera. And you also notice a bit at the tip, I like to just take a little bit of the sandpaper and just kind of give it a nice go there, just so that it kind of gets all the way down to the tip, especially because that's the section that we really need. And then once I'm done with the sandpaper, I actually get a bit of Scotch-Brite. This is just a dishwashing. It's best to get one that's new. You go to the dollar store, that's really cheap, but this will actually smooth out a lot of that. And even just sanded, you can tell that the the color is more even all the way through. Like you were able to kind of see the outer edges before, but now it's nice and smooth. So let me give this a go with the Scotch-Brite, and we'll take a look at it with the light. The other thing that's nice about having a Scotch-Brite pad just to kind of buff out the blades, this is actually really great for, if you've got a dueling blade and you've got scuffs and scrapes and stuff, just give a go over your blade with this and it'll actually buff those out. The reason I do this after the sanding is that sometimes the sanding leaves tiny little scrapes. They're so fine that I don't think I could really capture them on camera, but this really buffs them out. And so now when we put our red light through it, it's much more even. And then when you look up to the tip here, a lot of this is actually blurred out. So, up close and with the way that the camera kind of overexposes it, you can see it a little bit better, but in person it's a lot better. It's a lot more even, smooth. And this particular saber, actually let me show you. So before we had the blue light that was blocking out, but you can now see that all the way up to the top. It's still very, very dim because red blocks out blue and green like nobody's business, but looks pretty good actually if I mix some of those colors. But I have another saber here that's got a much brighter light. I'll actually compare these two. So here's that RGB, and you see how that's it's a lot paler, but then when I put this one through, it's much brighter. So let's take a look at that with the brighter LED. So I actually started this video with a much weaker LED intentionally so that we can kind of see some of those imperfections on camera a little bit better. But my intent is to have it in this Poxtor Shiva, which has a much brighter LED as you saw. And yeah, so that's much better. So even up close, yeah, the camera has to overexpose to really see the weakness, but in person, this actually looks quite good. So just real simple. I mean, that took me, not even 5 minutes to just go ahead and do that sanding, buff it out with the Scotch-Brite pad, put in some cellophane, and now I have a much better blade that can not only look good as a day blade without the light on, which is really the intent, but even at night this would look good. So I hope you guys enjoy. I highly recommend this. They also have this in blue and green. The blue is definitely going to block out a lot of light because it's on that other end of the spectrum. It's a much darker color. The green I think is going to be a lot more translucent, so green's probably going to be the best color for you if you want to mix stuff, although they are of course going to have a different effect depending on the color. The best bet is if you want red, get red. If you want green, get green, and so forth. But I hope you guys enjoy, and may the force be with you.